Hey guys, Cost here. I'm sorry for the little break I took this week. I had to do some family stuff, but right now, guys, I have a video I'm so excited to show you guys. And it's some budget alternatives to expensive cards in today's format, specifically May 2018 Banlist. The Banlist just came out. As a budget player myself, I'm not going to shell out 83.98 cents for infinite impermanence and to run a playset of infinite impermanence times 3. There's no way as a budget player I can do that. So I want to show you guys some of the substitutes that I found for myself that work for me that I can run instead of running these expensive cards. And as a disclaimer, just before I begin this video, these substitutes, these alternatives, aren't going to be perfect one-for-ones for the cards, for these cards, right? These cards, like Infinite Impermanence, they are expensive and they're good for a reason. And they're good just because that they do multiple things, right? Infinite Impermanence, if you guys don't know, it says target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It has this effect negated. That's one thing. Effect negation of a monster. Then, if this card is activated while it was set, you can negate the effects of all the spell and trap cards in this card's column. That's the second effect. It also negates spells and traps in the column. That's crazy. And lastly, you can activate it in the hand if you don't control a single card on the field. Which is why this card is super great, because it's also a hand trap. Traps that can be activated from the hand. So, that's why this card's super good. And as an example, these substitutes won't do all of these cards, because then Infinite Impermanence wouldn't be that expensive, but they're just going to do some of the effects, right? So, for example, Infinite Impermanence is good because it's a hand trap. You can activate a trap from your hand. So it works really well with Altergeist Multi-Faker. So Multi-Faker, it gets its effect off when a trap card is activated. When you activate a trap card, right? So as a substitute for that, we can also run Typhoon. So these are for the Altergeist players who need to run a trap that can activate on turn 0, so to say. So if you let your opponent go first, and you can activate Typhoon from the hand, then you can special summon Multi-Faker on your opponent's turn, and then you can get your combos working. So Typhoon is really great because if your opponent controls 2 or more spell and trap cards, and you control no spell and trap cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So it's not only a good form of spell and trap destruction, but then also activates Multi-Faker right here. Lastly, Infinite Impermanence also has Effect Negation. Effect Negation can easily be covered with Effect Veiler, guys. Run Effect Veiler. It's one of the cheapest hand traps we can buy a TCG player. It's set at $1.77 near mint. This is just from the starter deck. You can also run higher rarity Effect Veilers if you choose. But the thing is, Infinite Impermanence, it's pretty good because it's like Effect Veiler, except you can activate it outside the main phase, outside your opponent's main phase. And you also set it and do all these other effects. But if you just want some effect negation, run Effect Veiler. It's pretty good, guys. Next up, we have Evenly Matched. And right now, Evenly Matched is set at $51.90. Again, that's way too expensive for us budget players. And Evenly Matched, if you guys don't know, at the end of the battle phase, your opponent controls more cards than you do. You can make your opponent banish cards from their field face down so they control the same number of cards as you do. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. Again, another busted hand trap that basically evens the match, so to say, right? It banishes cards. I couldn't really find a perfect one-for-one, but this card gets pretty close, guys. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's Clashing Souls from Duelist Saga. It is 22 cents, ultra rare. During damage calculation, if your attack position monster battles opponent's attack position monster with higher attack, the controller of that battling monster with lower attack can pay 500 for that monster to gain 500 attack during damage calculation only. Then keep repeating the effect until a player chooses not to pay life points. Neither player takes any battle damage from that battle. Also, after damage calculation, if a player monster would be destroyed by that battle, send all cards that player controls to the graveyard instead. So, again, it isn't a perfect one-for-one. You need a monster on board, right? And then they have to attack that monster. But guys, and it also takes life points cost, right? You need life points to pay that 500 attack, depending on the difference of attack points from your monsters on board. But guys, this last effect, if a player monster would be destroyed by that battle, so theoretically you would pay enough life points so that your monster would win the battle, the battle against your opponent's monster, send all cards that player controls to the graveyard. So it doesn't banish them like Evenly Matched does, but you want a good board wipe. And again, guys, it's a board wipe of your opponent's board only. Run Clashing Souls. Also, you can set it right. Again, it's not hand trap, so it doesn't have the immunity that the hand has, right? So you have to set it so it's prone to spell and trap destruction. But guys, this is the card that not a lot of people know about, so I implore you guys to run Clashing Souls. You guys saw it coming. You knew Ash Blossom was gonna make this video, and Ash Blossom sitting at $60 from the Legendary Collection Kaiba. That is definitely a no-go for budget players. And so the rule of thumb that I use is that Ash Blossom is a hand trap that does a multitude of things. It stops adding cards, special summon from the deck, sending a card from the deck to the graveyard. But the alternative for a hand trap is just a cheaper hand trap, so to say. So this is sort of budget, but Ghost Ogre right now is sitting at $10 from Unlimited. Plus the shipping $5, $15. I don't have Ghost Ogres myself. I'm too budget right now. I don't really want to drop $30 essentially for Snow. I mean, yeah, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I call it Snow for some reason, but again, they're a little bit different. But Ghost Ogre is still pretty good in this format. So if you don't want to pay the money for Ash, run Ghost Ogre instead. Does some things different, but that's sort of fine. And run the Gamma, run Cyframe Gear Gamma, guys, because look at that price, $1.20. Cannot be normal summoner set, must be special summoned by a card effect, cannot be special summoned any other ways. We don't really care about that. During either player's turn, when an opponent monster activates the monster effect, we control the monster, special summon this card, and one side frame driver from your hand deck graveyard and negate the activation. It's another hand trap that's fairly cheap right now. Again, if you don't want to spend the $60, but it only negates effects while Snow destroys. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit destroys. So again, choose your poison. Again, like these cards are just alternatives. I'm not gonna cover everything that Ash Blossom does. You know what? DD Crow is also a viable hand trap. Look at that, 25 cents from Kaiba. There's gonna be a bunch of these in Ultra Rare for everyone opening up the Legendary Collection Kaiba. And basically discards this card to the graveyard and target one card your opponent controls. When the opponent's graveyard, I'm sorry, and you banish that. It's pretty good. Graveyard Disruption is also really good in this format. So again, Ash Blossom is an awesome card, worth the $60, but you know what? We have some alternatives we can run that can disrupt your opponent's play, which is basically all you guys need to be competitive in today's format. Next up, we have Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike right now is little under $10, $8.36 to $9 for Solemn Strike. And guys, this is the same philosophy I have with all my other deck profiles on this channel. If you can't afford an expensive trap lineup like Solemn Strikes, because Solemn Strikes is usually a 2 or 3 of, which is like $20 or $30 right there. If you can't afford an expensive trap lineup, just run the basic traps that you have just lying around. Things like Bottomless Trap Hole, Compulsory Escape Device, Compulsory Evacuation Device, Torrential Tribute. These are cards that will do basically the same job for the most part, right? Because Solemn Strike's a little bit better. It's more responsive, more reactive. You can pay the 1,500 life points to negate a special summon and to negate a monster effect. It has the option for both. But for the most part, guys, if you can't afford Solemn Strike, just run those basic trap lineups, because traps basically do the same job. They just respond to things. And although it's a little slower, like especially like Mirror Force has a good effect, but it's restricted to the battle phase. Just run them, because honestly, guys, they do the same job for the most part. But if you want some closer substitutes for Solemn Strike, I got you. We have Solemn Warning. Solemn Warning is a lot cheaper. It's around $2 for the cheapest common from Yugi's World. It only negates summons, but also negates spells and traps and monster effects that do summon, so it's pretty great. Also, we have Lost Wind. I think Lost Wind's an awesome card for Solemn Strike. So if you guys don't know what Lost Wind does, normal trap, rare from Raging Tempest. It's pretty cheap, 75 cents. So I got one face special summon monster on the field. It has its effects negated. Also, its original attack is halved. So it has that effect negation. Not destruction, but effect negation that Solemn Strike has. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck while this card's in the graveyard, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So it doesn't really destroy, but it has that effect negation that Solemn Strike has, and it can be used multiple times, right? If it's in your graveyard, you can set it from your graveyard, which is awesome. Another card I have is Time Space Trap Hole. If you don't know what this card does, it's pretty cheap from Infinite Gold. So it's going to be super shiny for 28 cents. When your opponent special summons a monster from your hand or extra deck, shuffle that monster into the deck, then you lose 1,000 life points for each return monster. So it has the same like response effect that Solemn Strike has when your opponent special summons a monster or from your hand or extra deck, right? It doesn't negate, which is like, alright, so they will get their effects off for the most part if they have an effect on summon. If your opponent special summons a monster with an effect on summon, but it shuffles that monster into the deck, so it does a little different thing than Solemn Strike. So let's say it can't be destroyed. Actually no, scrap that. It just does something different, right? It doesn't put it in the graveyard, it shuffles it into the deck, so it has different counterplay, different play, and you lose 1,000 life points. So also like can respond to pendulum summons, but you just have to lose more life points. It does its own niche role, but it finds its place in as an alternative that I will show you guys. And lastly, I have the Horn of Heavens, guys. These Horn of Heaven cards, they're all counter trap cards, and they do a little bit different things each. I'll go over them right now. Again, they're super cheap, guys, like 8 cents for Grand Horn of Heaven. Let's look at it, guys. Grand Horn of Heaven from Dimension of Chaos. Normal trap card. Oh no, not trap card, it's a counter trap card. Counter trap card. When your opponent would special summon a monster during their main phase, negate the special summon, and if you do, destroy that monster, then the opponent draws one card and end the main phase. So again, it not only negates the special summon like Solemn Strike, it destroys it like Solemn Strike, but also your opponent draws a card, but it ends the main phase right there. So if you're playing against an opponent with a deck that just goes off during their main phase, you can cut them off short. So this card does have a lot of use in it. It gives the opponent one card, which is like the worst thing you can do in Yu-Gi-Oh, giving your opponent's card advantage, but it has a unique effect that ends the main phase. This card is being slept on in today's format, guys. 8 cents too, guys. Pick this card up if you don't want to spend the Solemn Strikes, because it has unique role that a lot of players they're not expecting, right? If I'm playing Mermail and I do something and then I find out my main phase is ended, well, that's gonna suck, right? I have to either go into battle phase or end phase. I actually don't know the ruling for that. Can I just go into main phase too? But for the most part, guys, actually I'm pretty sure you can. You can just go to battle phase. But like having to go straight into battle phase without having anything set on board, that definitely has an effect on the format. Also, we have regular Horn of Heaven, guys. Horn of Heaven, this card's alright. Again, counter trap card. When a monster will be summoned, tribute one monster, negate the summon, and he destroy the monster. So, not only this negates any summons, and destroys it, but you have to tribute a monster. Some decks can run it, some decks can't. You have to have some board presence to use this card, but to negate any summon, pretty great, guys. And lastly, we have Black Horn of Heaven. I think this card's great. No image available, but it's just a black horn. And then when you opponent with special summon exactly one monster, negate the special summon if you do destroy it. So it's like Solemn Strike. Solemn Strike can do multiple monsters, that's for sure. But Black Horn of Heaven is limited to one monster, and it negates a special summon, and if you do destroy it. So pretty good. 29 cents as well from Infinite Gold. So guys, these are some options for Solemn Strike. There's a lot of them. If you can't afford, if you don't want to get these cards, just pick up your trap cards from your trap binder, from the cards like trap cards. Or just buy a starter deck. Buy the Link starter deck, because that Link starter deck has not only effect filler, has a bunch of traps like torrential evacuation device, all this stuff. So yeah, that's basically it for Solemn Strike. The last card I want to show you guys is Raigeki. Raigeki is an awesome card. It destroys all monsters your opponent controls, but right now it's sitting around $15, $14, $12.98 plus shipping, which is like $14. It's pretty expensive. It's in a lot of decks in today's format. In the main deck or the side deck at least. But you know what? There's a bunch of alternatives that I'll show you guys right now. One of them is Dark Hole, right? Dark Hole found in a bunch of starter decks, bunch of structure decks. Common, super cheap, 28 cents. Destroy all monsters on the field. It's different than Raigeki because Raigeki destroys monsters only on your opponent's side of the board. Your opponent's board, but Dark Hole has its niche, has its play in today's format. There are some decks in today's format that want monsters to be destroyed, right? Dinosaurs, Shoe Kings, Shoe Drakas, right? Have monsters that want to be in the graveyard, 60 card, and have monsters that can't be destroyed in general. So that's pretty good. And you know what? It does the same purpose for the most part as Raigeki. If you have no monsters, Dark Hole is basically Raigeki, right? And so currently in the deck profiles I have on my channel, I'm using Dark Hole because you know what? I have a bunch of Dark Holes from the structure decks that I bought, and they're just sitting around. I can run them instead of Raigeki, but sooner or later I will buy myself a Raigeki. Hopefully there's a reprint coming. Hopefully Konami, because I just want like a common Raigeki, I know it's in Battle Pack Epic Dawn as a rare, but that's still pretty expensive. It's still like $15. But you know what? We also have Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Kaiju Slumber is like Dark Hole, destroy as many monsters on your field as possible, but also special summons 2 Kaijus on your opponent's side and on your side. So it has its own niche, alright? You have to run Kaijus in order to run this card, but you know what? Kaijus are pretty good. And I failed to mention Kaijus. Kaijus are sort of budget for the most part. They're like $2, $3. This is actually important, guys. Kaijus are awesome. Like if you guys don't have a lot of these cards, like evenly match other cards, and you just want outs to your opponent's monsters, run Kaijus, because for the most part they're pretty cheap, like the cheap Kaijus. Yeah, this from low to high. Let's go relevance, because some of the Kaiju cards are trash. That's not right. Best selling. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, yeah, Gamma Seal. Gamma Seal is around like $10. That's like the most expensive Kaiju. It's honestly the best Kaiju, but look at this. Godarla is under $1. Dogdoram, $3, but that's OTS for supers. You can get it for the rare price, which is around $2, $3. And they have the pretty good problem outs to a bunch of cards in today's format. So if you want some board destruction, run Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Run Kaijus if you want just target outs. And the last card I have is Lightning Vortex. Lightning Vortex is the GOAT. If you have Raigeki, run like Lightning Vortex. Lightning Vortex says discard 1 card from your hand. Destroy all face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field. So it's different than Raigeki because it requires a discard outlet. But you know what? Some decks want cards from their hand into the graveyard. Again, find your decks that can run Lightning Vortex. But also destroys all face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field. So if you're running If your opponent's playing a deck that just sets monsters, have monsters in face out defense position, they won't be destroyed by Lightning Vortex. But again, that is a very extreme situation. And honestly, guys, Lightning Vortex is an awesome card. Again, people don't really realize it's also a card. Like, you know what? I use my Rebecca, I use my Dark Hole. You know what? I have another Lightning Vortex. That might be a little bit overkill, right? Running all this destruction. But you know what? Run Lightning Vortex is an awesome budget card. But I think that's just about it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any other alternatives for some cards you want, just put them in the comment section below. Put some cards you want alternatives for, and put some alternatives and respond to other people's comments. That'll be great. And that's basically it, guys. Double costing out. What's up, guys?